Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining the Ancient World. In the game of the Ancient World, the movement or choices that you have are either place one of your three guys onto the board as worker placement. If there is already a guy on the spot, you can still use the spot. However, you'll notice there's little numbers on each of the guys that are available to you. If the number on the guy that's on the spot that you wish to go to is the same or lower, it has no effect. But if the number on the guy is higher, you will need to pay one money to the bank to be able to use that. If red wished to go there, his number's lower, he's still going to have to pay that one money to the bank in order to go there. The way the game plays, it happens over this many rounds. So the very first thing that happens is we cover that up. What that's showing is we're using the A deck here. When we get up to the B, we'll change decks to the B deck. This one, so the second round, tells you that we're uncovering that spot. This one, third round, means we're uncovering this spot. The stars underneath tell you at what level your titans are coming from. So you'll have a starting titan on your board. On the next round, you'll take a card from the bottom of that deck into that spot, assuming that titan has been completed. And I'll talk about that later. Once you get to this round, we're going into the second deck, and once you get to the last two rounds, we're on the third deck. So what are we trying to do with this game? What's the purpose of it? Well, the aim of the game is to get the most points. You will get points through these little banners. So if you have one of those banners, it's worth 2 points. If you have two red banners, it'll be worth 4 points. If you have 6, it's worth 22. There are 5 different colors of banners. Each of the 5 different colors is going to get scored. And that's realistically majority of the game, is to get those banners in combinations. It's possible to play the game without looking at those combinations, but at some point it is 100% worthwhile chasing after a combination of banners. If you have more than 6 of one coloured banner, it's still only worth 22 points. Whenever you use one of your guys to take a spot where there's some ambrosia, so it starts with 3 spots of ambrosia covered, that ambrosia comes onto your board. That is important later, I'll tell you why later. But for the moment, just accept the first person on a spot takes that ambrosia. So this person is going to trade in 1 knowledge if they have a knowledge token, or 3 money to have a look at 3 cards. So there's the face-up card plus another 2 that no one else knows about. Have a look at them, make a choice, and throw the card next to your board. The others go onto the bottom of that deck, and the next top one gets flipped over. Coming down here, we go to a build phase. So what that means is you're going to spend any money on the bottom left, or knowledge, if there's knowledge as well, in order to build that particular item. Once it's added here, notice there's a 2 in the spot. That means that this token pushes forward 2 more spots. And these tracks are used to help you keep an idea of what's happening on your board, so they'll move up and down as things change for your board. This also has an income of 1, so we push the income up on track. Now coming on to the build phase, or the build selection. When you choose to build, you're spending whatever's in the bottom left corner, so 2 money, 6 money, 4 money, 2 money, and a knowledge, to gain that card into your empire. If this player had 6 money, he might spend the 6 money to grab that card, so 6 money out. That card gets added to his empire. What that has allowed is an extra 2 cards when we get to the explore phase, which I'll talk about in a second. And it's also given him the ability to place one of his guys on this card to get an extra 2 swords, and I'll talk about those in a second as well. When you choose from here, you also have the choice of one of these cards. These cards are more expensive, they have points for the end of the game, and you are allowed to have a look through and choose one of the cards to purchase if you wish to go that way rather than these cards. If he comes up here, he spends 3 money to get 1 knowledge, and he would get that ambrosia also. If he goes to the labour, he's gaining 2 more money. If he comes down to the recruit, he is choosing one of the 2 cards that are face up. Notice there's a cost of knowledge underneath each of these. The way these work is he will spend the knowledge to get the card. His city is only able to hold 2 different units at the moment. There are cards that will make you able to hold more units, but for the most part in this game, you're only going to be able to have 2 units. So what he might choose to do is trade in that one. So you flip that card over and put the new card on top. So what now happens is whenever he's fighting, he has 3 arrows, 1 sword, and he'll get a coin of income by using this unit. So on the back of every one of these cards, there is something. On the back of the card I've just put down, there is 1 sword and 1 arrow. So that's what that bit in the top right shows you. If he goes here, he's drafted 1 extra sword. What that means, and the reason you might do that, is at the moment he has 3 arrows and 1 sword in that unit, 2 arrows and 1 sword in that unit. By having a guy there, he has 3 arrows and 2 swords, so a total of 5. And here he has 1 arrow and 2 swords, also a total of 3. I will come back to the other spots in a second, because this kind of leads us into another ability. So something you can do other than sending these guys out to work is that he could instead have a battle against the Titan, either the Titan on his board, the Titan on someone else's board, or one of the Titans at the top of the table. So because he now has 3 arrows and 2 swords, he may choose to fight that guy, which is a 5. Notice this number in the bottom left-hand corner. That tells you what you will need to be able to fight him as a minimum. So if he fights him, what is going to happen is, because he has hit the 5 things, he has won that battle. However, within every battle, even the losers will cause there to be something happening within the city. So there'll be some expense potentially. So what's going to happen is that he has won this battle, which places it there, but he will roll 1 die. You're going to roll 1 die for each banner shown. So this Titan only has 1 banner. You notice this Titan has 2, that one has 3. So because he's rolling 1, he rolls a die. That means that one of the cards in his empire is going to be flipped over. So he may choose to flip that one over for the moment. If he happened to roll that, he'd be looking at this spot here, which is lose 2 ambrosia. He has 2 ambrosia, he would lose both of them. Or nothing happens, so he would not lose anything at all. Because he's used this unit, that has cost him 1 money to use that. You put it on the top on the name to show that it's been used, and that will then slide down once that has all happened. So we're back onto the board now. If you chose to go here, take the ambrosia that was on there, he would then flip 2 of the cards that had been injured. So flip those 2 cards back over, gain a coin, and gain the first player marker. So whoever was the first player, this player is now going to be the first player for next turn. So notice he was the first player before, he's going to be again. The next person, if anyone else comes in here, they can also do the stuff, but they're not going to be able to take that off him. The other 2 spots that will eventually come in, so this one's going to be opened at the beginning of next turn, is that you can look at 5 cards in here to store one of them. So he'll take 5. Because he has this card, he would take another 2. I really desperately want that card because I'm going after red ones, so I'll gain that. Now, that goes as a stored thing. Each of these cards that has not been used will go back to the bottom of that stack. That goes down as a stored spot, and what's going to happen is that at any point during this turn, as his turn, he can spend the 2 money to bring that over into his spot, therefore gain the benefits on the top of that card. The other one, the grow spot, which is going to come in on the 3rd round, allows the player to spend 3 money. So he spends 3 money to take the top marker. When that new one comes in, it goes in the stored spot as well. and will come and join him after this round. So that one is not available straight away. Theoretically, he could do that again if he had enough money to gain both of those guys. Now the problem is that on the change around of what happens, these markings show food availability. So this creates 1 food, this creates 2 food, that creates a 3rd food. At the moment, there is only 3 food available. The problem is, once these 2 guys are in the city, we'll need to have 5 food. So it's worthwhile making sure you've got cards that have that marking on it before you gain extra guys, because you're not going to be able to feed them. Once you have run out of guys, you may or may not have used both of your armies. That's fine. Your other action is to pass. Once everyone has passed, we then go into end of round stuff. So end of round stuff is confronting the titans on your board. So if there's a titan still on your board, you would need to place 1 ambrosia onto that titan. If there's a titan on your board that has 1 ambrosia on it, you're going to need to place 2. If there's a titan with 3, you will need to place 4. So basically you need to place 1 more than is currently on the card in order to keep it there, to keep it happy. If the player does not have enough ambrosia to defend against this titan, he will roll the die, depending on how many banners are in the top of the titan card, and take that damage, but the titan stays there. Now earlier when I was talking about attacking, I was talking about attacking someone else's titan. This player could attack this titan. What this player would gain is any ambrosia that is on that titan, assuming he beat the titan, would come onto his board. That card would go into his lineup. The next thing that happens once you've worked out if there's any titans left on the guys is the income of the city. So you'll take the money as marked by this. So that is 5 to start with, but plus each of those symbols. So it's actually plus 3, which would be 8. So he would take 8 money income. He would also take any knowledge income that's shown on these cards. This would turn one of his cards over at the end of round if there's still a face down card. You then place an ambrosia onto each spot that has not been used this round. If it's a 3-player game, you would place an ambrosia onto each spot that has 1 citizen or less. If it's a 4-player game, you would place ambrosia onto everything that has 2 citizens or less. Then you take the guys back. Then you need to be able to feed them. So this city is showing 1, 2, 3 to feed the 3 guys. They're fine. If you're unable to feed them, you must place one of these guys into the starving or new area to come down to being able to feed all of the citizens that you have. We then go to the next round, which reveals stuff, etc. These cards will all get pulled off and a new pool of cards, same on the military, a new pool of cards will come out. So we've got new stuff to choose from. These coins that have been used on your troops will slide down. Now, if you wish to use these troops, it will cost you whatever the coin is or coins on the card plus 1. So if there's 1 here at the moment, it would cost me 2 to use that deck. What will happen when I get new ones out, like I did here, any coins that are sitting in the middle will go to the bank and I'll start fresh without having to pay them. It's basically to show exhaustion on those cards. It also means that if you don't have enough money, you can't use your military. The other thing I haven't mentioned is this track. This track is telling you how many cards you can have in your empire. So you start with being able to have 4 cards in your empire. By adding this, it pushed up 2 more, so I can actually have up to 6 cards in my empire. The other thing to remember is if you have no Titan on your board, you would take a card from the bottom of wherever this is getting pushed to. So if it's been pushed up to there, it would come out of that pile, and that sets your new Titan, your new attacking Titan. I think that's all there is for this game. Please go ahead and watch my gameplay to get a feel for how the game actually plays. If you have any games that you would like to be gamesplayed, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, Enjoy gaming.